Went running up on stage and he grabbed the microphone from the host. He's like, "Hey guys, how's it going?"
$3.
Oh man, we're taking a killing.
I'm too busy being picked up by the guy and putting back on the course.
Yeah. Able to just kick back and eat the popcorn and watch Gohan and Piccolo do their thing.
And I didn't stop until he said, "Stop talking. Cut, there's no more tape. Thank you."
You're watching convention coverage.
Backstage and you have no idea what it's your voice. And one time we did play a prank on one of our colleagues and we're like, "Hey, they just said your name." And he went running up on stage and he grabbed the microphone from the host. He's like, "Hey guys, how's it going?" Clearly, like they had not introduced him yet. And he just took the mic from the host. It was awesome.
I'm sorry about that, guys. No, that wasn't me.
Sean, it's weird. By the way, am I sitting on the right?
Yes, you can hear me.
Okay.
I can hear you. I have a hearing loss in my left ear, so Chris is always considerate. Am I
I'm
sitting on the right side here? We're like a couple old men here. No, this is the good side. This
Okay.
The right side.
My left ear sucks,
Sorry.
but my right ear.
Got it.
This is his first ever Dragon Ball panel.
Really?
Yeah. Dragon Ball panel. Yippee!
Well, we're so honored to have you, Charles, and I'm glad I crashed it because I wasn't originally scheduled, but I felt I had FOMO for you guys, so.
I'm so glad. First of all, let me just say, I am so honored and so joyful to be here. Thank you very much for coming, everybody. I always am grateful to the people that hire us, and then to the people that bring us to these shows, but most grateful to you because your appreciation for what we do is what gives us the chance to be here. So, thank you.
Let's hear it for Charles. Thank you, Charles.
So,
by the way, he's this lovely all the time. He's not just doing it because he's on stage. This is why we love the guy so much. He's just so generous and gracious. Thank you, Charles.
Well, and thank you to Sean, because Sean had the idea, you should call Chris. And thank you to Chris who said, "What?" Well, maybe. And then, he then hired me, did the most beautiful directing, an absolute actor's director in the most marvelous, caring way, carrying me through this process that is so different from doing anime 25 years ago. It's such a beautiful craft.
Yeah.
And you have to have a great director. You have to have a great engineer. And that's what I got. So I'm so grateful to these guys, because without them, I'd be just not doing it at all.
Well, you deserve it, Charles, because you're good at what you do, man.
You're amazing.
Yeah.
For those of you, like maybe the three of you out there who aren't aware why Mario is on stage with us right now. Charles Martinet just took on the role of a character called Magenta in the new Dragon Ball movie. How many of you guys have?
You guys seen the movie?
Ever seen it? How many of you are going to see it this weekend now?
Are you guys gonna see it this weekend? Yeah,
people. Today, I swear this is true, it's National Cinema Day, and every movie theater, $3.
Oh man, we're taking a killing.
Don't go see it today.
Don't go see it today. Tomorrow. No.
No, but it opened #1 in box office in the entire world.
Thanks to you guys, so thank you for that.
Guys.
Yes.
Highest grossing Dragon Ball movie yet.
Yeah.
We beat Idris Elba.
It's just great. And then last week it dropped to #5, so we're trying to pump it back up to 1 this week.
Yes.
Go see it 9 times a day.
See it over 9,000 times.
All right, that's it, guys.
That's it. Thanks for that.
Our panels, Dragon Ball panels, are usually real short. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, we're teaching him.
So this was a question for Mr. Schemmel. You asked me yesterday to ask you this question when you signed my manga collection.
I hope I don't regret it. No, okay.
No, it was just a question of how to go about getting into the business you guys are in.
I swear it was what's my favorite car? I swear that was the question. No, I'm kidding. I get this question asked a lot, and the reason I asked you to ask me on a panel is because that way there's a lot of people in the audience who may, and how you get into voiceover, and all of us have different career trajectories on how we got into it, and the way I got into it, and Chris and I got into it, is a little different than that typically is, but generally today, you're gonna wanna hopefully find a reputable voiceover coach. You're gonna wanna have a good microphone. You wanna be able to record yourself and edit yourself well, because since a lot of voiceover work has gone remote, which I actually don't like. I like working directly with the director. I like going in, but a lot of people like it. And so you're gonna wanna be able to work with a voiceover coach until you have a finished demo, and then if you're in a city where they do a lot of voiceover, you're gonna wanna send that demo into an agent, and hopefully they'll start sending you sides, and then hopefully from your voiceover class you learn how to break down a side, how to create a voice, how to do it that way. That's the basic starting point, and if Charles or Chris wanna interject at all, feel free.
Or you just get Sean Schemmel's email and you
bug me.
message him again and again and again.
Every day. That's what I did to you.
There's also a website. There's a website, iwantobeavoiceactor.com by D. Bradley Baker.
Oh, yeah, that's a good
Wonderful
one.
actor. You know, and you can spend years, because he spent years putting it together for learning how to create a character, how to get an agent, when I was trying to break into voiceover business, I would send out, because I had all these, that was back in the day when everyone was a heavy smoker, so they do something like Clorox bleach.
Oh yeah. I got a lot of work back then.
Because, that deep voice, and I was like, my voice is just not that deep. So I would send a voiceover light and I have pictures. I sent out probably 150,000 of these things at 20 cents a piece. And I finally got a phone call from an ad agency. Where do you get these things printed? They're great.
So you spent $30,000 on sending those? I think I did the math.
Oh, I spent a fortune.
Were they cassettes or just the postcard?
No, they were the postcards with my image on it. I had done a bunch of, television things and things. Every month I would send out something.
You were one of those guys.
Yeah. You get them, right?
Yeah, oh yeah. I still get them to this day. They're actually, they are equal parts irritating and also very effective.
Oh, really?
Because sometimes you'll just get them and you're like, ugh, that person sends me a postcard every month. But then you're like, you think of that person every single month. And a lot of times when you're voice acting, even for a studio for 20 years, it's sometimes just not being around the directors and stuff like that can ruin your chance.
They have that expression, out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah, exactly.
So you want to be annoying, but not too annoying.
Yeah.
You like...
As long as it's professional, like it works. It's better than just showing up at the studio and saying,
That's happened a couple times. I mean, I didn't do it, but that's happened when I was working at NYAV Post. We had who's now a voice actor. I'm not going to mention names because I don't want to embarrass the guy, but just showed up at our studio one day. Wow. Don't do that.
So
but he's a working voice actor now.
It definitely works if you want to refer to a printer, for sure.
yes, if you want to find a good printer.
Okay.
So that's the gist of that. Hopefully that's helpful.
It is. Thank you for your time.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Good luck. See you in the
Thank you.
studio, man. Good luck. Keep at it. Follow your heart. That's what the moral of all the story for all of us is: do what you love to do in life. Follow your heart. Pursue your dreams, because you will find yourself entering doorways that you never thought would open. Really, honestly, be consistent to yourself and your own best friend in the pursuit of your joy.
When you're playing a Mario game, or you, Chris, when you're watching an anime, do you ever get tired of hearing your own voice doing the same death noise over and over and over again if you're playing 3D World with friends and you keep dying and you just hear yourself go again and again and again?
Oh, I'm just really good at gaming, so I don't hear that. It is always, I don't know. Once your voice gets in a game, you don't really ever get annoyed by it. You start picking apart your reads and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes like, oh man, I wish I'd done that differently, but it's still really cool to be able to have your voice in a video game or on an anime or something. You never lose that kind of
My favorite voice
joy.
role is when they used my voice for the indicator for the volume change inside Kakarot. So when you change the volume to test your levels of the relative levels, it's just me going, hey, 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 hey. Like you go up and down. And so I did a stream where I put my voice on a delay, and then I was hitting that, and then saying hey, and then my voice is on a delay, so it was like, hey, 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 hey. And I was just making myself laugh with my own voice on my stream. That's my favorite voiceover role, the system menu sound.
They have gotten a lot better about that because for whatever reason, Japanese games used to really want you to know what selection you were on. Select a game, select a course, select a level, settings menu, voice menu. So they don't do that as much anymore.
No.
They do say hey though. Get better at games, you won't be annoyed.
Yeah, I never get tired. I love it. The problem is I make the sounds as I pipe in Mario Kart and I'm like, hey, nonstop. So I don't hear them in the game.
Do you like, when you're playing Mario Kart, do you like, since you know, Mario doesn't have a ton of dialogue, do you like, you trash talk the other drivers in R-rated language? You know?
No, I'm too busy being picked up by the guy and putting back on the course to Think about that.
Trying to picture Mario in a profanity-laced tirade after beating. You know, they call it Mario. I don't know if you've heard the term. My girlfriend's an avid Mario Kart player, and they have this term they use called Mario Kart rage, where because the game will screw you over so bad, 'cause it's like a game of 9-ball, that people get really enraged about that gameplay mechanic. I don't know if you've experienced Mario Kart rage, but it's pretty intense.
No, I live it.
Live Mario Kart.
I accept the fact that I'm not very good. I just not. But I can always find out the princess is not in this castle. So I'm pretty happy with that.
She's not in this one. Mario's been gaslit by Bowser this whole time. You know?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Of course, you're very welcome. Thank you for your time.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you very much. You look great, man. I appreciate it. I love cosplay. Thank you to everybody for cosplay. You look great.
Question for Charles Martinet. How did you get the role of Magenta in Dragon Ball Superhero, and how do you feel about being part of the DBZ fandom now?
Well, I'll tell you, I went through the grueling process of auditioning. Sean said, hey, you know, I think there might be a cameo in this film. You should talk to Chris.
Yeah.
So I went, no, I couldn't. Okay. And then I saw Chris and I said, hey Chris, can I, and he goes, out. Never. Never.
What was your name again?
Exactly.
Who are
no,
you?
I hate you.
Who's Mario?
We were in Dubai, and me and Charles were
in
hanging out, and
Dubai.
the movie was coming out, and I was like, you should give Chris a shout. And
And when he called me, he was like, I would love to do even just a cameo in that movie. And I said, all right, that's cool.
It really was.
I tried not to make a big deal about it because I knew there was a role for Charles in there, and but I wasn't going to say anything to him.
Oh, I
because
didn't know that.
Well, you get too excited about stuff. So.
I do. I get excited.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so great.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was just, what a joy. As I said, you might have missed the beginning. Chris is the best director I've ever worked with, ever. The most inside the actor's head of anything. And that's what a director has to be, to pull out the performance from somebody, to know what they're going through, to help them through the process. If I have too much tension, I tend to do things through my throat. He could hear it, identify it, and say, hey, man, you're trying too hard right now with this. Do this. You know, and just like that, it was like magic, and it worked. And we had the most marvelous engineer named Raleigh, who is the best I've ever worked with.
He's your right arm, Chris.
Yeah, his name is Raleigh Pickens. He's worked with me at Okratron, a studio I run since the beginning. And he's by far the fastest dubbing engineer and actually a very excellent director, too.
Oh, is he? Yeah.
He is an excellent director. And the best thing about Raleigh and I working together is that he can always keep the session moving really fast. And when I start spacing out, or I get an email or a text or I see a blue car or something like that and I get very distracted, he's very quick to go, all right, Chris, did you like that last one? I'm like, yes, I did. I did like that one.
But to his Raleigh's credit, we're bragging about the engineer, but we do that because the engineer's role is really critical in affecting the performance. Because if there's a lot of stop-start or a lot of herky-jerky motion in terms of who's communicating and you're trying to perform and keep your energy flow going for the character and the engineer's not doing great or is behind what you're doing,
oh my God.
Raleigh's literally almost psychic in terms, like when I do the fight reactions in Dragon Ball, I'm always doing them in real time. So I'm watching the screen going, yeah, I'm doing all those things in real time. And I'll miss one here or there, and then I'll do it after the fact when there's no action going on. So you'll see Goku punch, and then I'll do it after the fact. And Raleigh knows that's me doing a second take that he's gonna place there. And before I'm done even performing, he's already placed it there. So that allows me to stay in my head in the game, which leads me to my next comment, which is no disrespect to the animation team who did a tour de force knockout job on this film. And the folks in Japan and Toei are doing an amazing job, but this particular dub would absolutely not be as good if Chris hadn't directed it. I do think a big part of the
I like
success.
this panel. Thank you,
So,
guys.
He is. He really, honestly.
I mean, he's a big part of how
Yeah.
all these great performances come out. A huge part of it.
Yeah.
Him and Raleigh especially. So
The best there is. The best ever. That
Well,
I've
at this
worked with,
point,
for sure.
I don't have to do that much. I really don't. Because everybody who's on the Dragon Ball cast is really, they're really good. Like the cool thing about it, and I don't know, maybe I don't even understand it sometimes, but I think we all have such a good relationship with one another
Yeah.
that it's very easy for me to be able to describe what I think the scene needs without having to like do a line read or overly explain something. I actually know what things can trigger Sean into doing something different that he needs without even having to really explain
Well,
it.
and I think you put little nuggets in there. Like, wasn't it your idea to have the Pan's teacher be on a first name basis, like Piccolo? The joke calls her Janet because it's not in the script. And I know your joke was that, well, if Piccolo is constantly being called to babysit, he's got to be on a first name basis with these teachers now, right?
Yes, yeah. In the script, when Piccolo goes to get Pan, he's like, "I'm sorry about that, ma'am." But I changed it to like, "I'm sorry about that, Janet." Yeah. Because I thought it'd be really funny if like he's done it so many times that like maybe they play bridge together.
And those little nuances are all throughout Dragon Ball Super as well as the movie. And those types of decisions and stuff like that, along with the direction, are what I think make our dub really special. I do. I'm very, very proud of this dub and this cast, especially because I only had to work for about 15 minutes.
But you still got to steal it at the end.
I got to steal it at the end, though.
And I am so honored to just be welcomed into the family of Dragon Ball. It just warms my heart. It's really amazing. A great group of people. If you've ever done any voiceover, the level of respect that you get when you get in the studio and you see what precision has to be in that you're not creating a character as you usually do, but you're trying to find the intricate ways that human being interacts with that human being.
And you're dealing with that through a translation, and so it can be very challenging if the adaptation isn't great. And we luckily have really good adapters.
Yeah, everybody on this thing was just amazing.
And that's how we roll in the series too. We just take it seriously. Dragon Ball demands that. You know what I mean, Chris? I feel like the show has its own like entity or force, and it just demands this level of attention.
And I would sometimes wonder if like maybe it wasn't a good idea to occasionally add this like an extra sound every now and then, or like a tiny little line here and there, even though if it didn't change the context. But over time, I realized that Akira Toriyama is in on the joke too.
Yeah.
Like I like to only add things that fans are already recognize about the show. Like when Bulma is trying to get Vegeta to go to a party or whatever in the Battle of Gods movie, and she's like, "Come on, come to the party, Vegeta," and he's like, "Yeah, let's go see Yamcha."
Yeah, like he's jealous.
That was not in there, but I have to imagine that it's got to be infuriating for him that Yamcha's still hanging around. Like her ex-boyfriend, who's useless, still hangs out at the house. Probably still keeps his bad man clothes there.
Yeah, so I have a general question. I know food is a big part of the show, and I was just curious if by any chance of recording a scene like that, if you guys ever, get hungry or try to satisfy a craving and satisfy like a Super Saiyan appetite?
There are two stories for this one. One is that on some shows I'm actually eating food while I'm recording because the character's eating food. Not on Dragon Ball though, but on Monkey Kid, when Monkey King is eating potato chips, I have potato chips that I'm recording for the effect. The other unrelated story is the fact that my girlfriend and I have this running joke where we fantasize about food other people are eating on a show, even if it's like 50 years ago. And I'm like, you do realize that food and that person have already decomposed, and you're still fantasizing about, like it's a show from the 40s or 50s. I'm like, the guy ate that food, he pooped it out, and now that guy's dead, and I go, that ice cream still look good? And she's like, yeah.
That's dark.
Yeah, I'll go real dark with the food.
That's dark.
And including cartoon food. She's like, boy, that cartoon hot dog looks really great. I'm like, yeah, that is a tasty looking, whatever snack. And we'll sit there. And so we should do a blog about all the food we see on various cartoons and how we lust after it. That's what we constantly talk about is food in cartoons.
Since we're at an anime convention, some of you might actually know this show, but I have never worked on a show that made me more hungry than a show called Restaurant to Another World. Did any of you guys see that one?
Oh my God.
I play this chef who works at this, as those of you who haven't seen it, I play this chef who works in a restaurant where every week for one day, a door opens from other universes and other people just come and eat there. And you would think that they'd have huge battles or giant fights, but no, it's just really casual. It's just like they're going to eat somewhere and nothing really crazy happens. But the food looks so good every episode. And then the food Foley, like the sound of everything is incredible.
Wow.
Like I had to actually start recording that show only like right before dinner or right after lunch because I had to eat something before or after. So.
Do you ever walk around your neighborhood? Sometimes we'll walk around our neighborhood and we smell other people cooking. And then I thought, what if we did a cooking reality show where you take judges and you walk around your neighborhood and then you smell. And if it smells good, you knock on the door and then the celebrity chef goes in and eats the food with you. And then you judge your neighbor's food as whether or not it's good because it smelled good from outside.
Be good if it wasn't Ramsey.
Have it show.
This is horrible.
Yeah,
You're a
he's like,
terrible.
throwing out, you know?
He should be yelling at people at their houses. Like,
Yeah. And they're like,
Come on, people.
we frequently have this discussion because we smell good cooking food in our neighborhood and we want to go eat it, but we can't.
I never smell my neighbor's food cooking.
Do you walk around your neighborhood at all?
No.
Oh,
It's just too long of a walk to get to our neighbor's house.
I know.
From
because-
mansion to mansion.
I know. Your house is huge.
Estate to estate, chateau to chateau.
Sometimes I see them cooking across the
you keep
field.
your
And I can
binoculars
see
out?
them on the other side of my private golf course that sometimes people are cooking.
That's your food
Do you
animal.
use binoculars? Do you have to have the?
No, I send one of my people to go look for me.
Oh, that's
Well, the
good.
funny thing is Charles hasn't really spoken, and he's the foodie here. Like, he's always gone exotic foodie adventures and taking us with him. And I've eaten some very strange stuff in the company of Charles that I don't want to repeat. But
Go ahead, you can tell him.
well, it was a pig face.
It was a pig
He ordered a
face.
pig face once, and it was a pig face at this. Were we at a Brazilian restaurant? Where were we?
I think it was a pig face restaurant.
Pig face restaurant.
It just that's what they. I mean, that was one of the things. We had this wonderful room, and I saw that on the menu. I thought, why not?
Yeah, he's very exploratory with the
And it was
food.
pretty good.
It was interesting.
Certain parts I didn't want to eat.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Sorry about that.
we were
Okay, so I
talking-
just
we were
ended the
interrupting.
conversation there. Sorry.
Hi.
Hi.
So besides the characters you voice, who is your favorite character?
That other actor's voice?
Yeah.
Oh. And on Dragon Ball or in the my entire scope
The
of my
enti-
voice acting world?
Sure.
I
I'm gonna let
love
you guys go first.
I love Mr. Satan a lot.
I am a
think.
big fan of that. Yes,
I'm
Chris
a
Rager.
big fan of Hercule Satan. He's just super funny to me.
I'm sorry. I'm so happy doing what I do. I love it. I just don't covet anything. One time, I think 28 years ago, I've been doing this Mario voice for 31 years. I said to Mr. Miyamoto, if you would like a voice for Link, I'd love to show you what I would do. And he said, no thanks. And so that was the end of my coveting.
Yeah. When Miyamoto shuts you down, that's
On
do
Dragon
much
Ball,
about
I
that.
tend to like the tiny characters. Like I love your work as Bubbles. I'm a big
Yes.
Bubbles fan and Gregory fan. And there are certain other. I'm trying to think of other shows I really like that. I guess I don't ever. If I memorize the name, I've forgotten who plays them because I'm just so in the moment of the show. But on Dragon Ball, I tend to like those types of characters. And I love Chris's Vegeta quite a bit. And of course, not to be totally complimentary, but I actually was really thrilled with Charles' performance as Magenta.
Really? Thank you.
No, it was really grounded and really believable, and it sounded nice and evil, especially when he had the suit on at the end and he's doing the weird dance, mech suit.
Thank you. I've never been more insecure and not knowing because the process was so different.
Oh, it was like you've been doing it, like it was great. Like it was totally.
There are two reasons for that. One is them sitting here. The other one is in the studio right now.
No, Charles. I think Charles. Our biggest challenge with finding Charles' voice for Magenta in the movie is that we wanted to find something that was kind of sinister and was sort of evil, but didn't have too cartoony of a vibe, and we just didn't want it also to sound like Wario or something like that.
Yeah.
You were just as concerned about that. You're like, I don't want it to sound like the other characters, please.
It's true. But too, the old animes, 25 years ago, everything was huge, you know?
Yeah.
And then, he would be a real evil guy, and it's like that doesn't fit. The style has moved on.
Yeah.
And it's such a craft now. It's not splatter something on the wall. It's
See what sticks, yeah.
And it can be that way because these guys have been in it so long, and they know more than any other person in the world who could ever be outside or in the middle of other things could possibly know about that. So I have goosebumps.
You should be on more panels with me, man.
Yeah.
You make us feel really good.
But it's the bringing of that
good.
artistry and this 20 years or 25 years of depth of knowledge that just, I watched that film and I was amazed. Really.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Great
Oh, and I just remember Laura Bailey's Kid Trunks was always one of my favorites,
Okay.
too.
That's true. Thank you.
Yay.
I like how they have a question line here. Is
Yeah,
that,
there's like a question horizontal line here.
was that planned?
That's planned.
Wow.
No.
Yeah.
That is smart. Because
That-
normally there's like this super long line out here.
Yeah.
That's
you guys
kinda-
can't see right there.
That's why we started doing that.
Thank
was
you.
Thank you.
It's the question chairs.
So,
Go ahead.
so did you think your characters would last as long as they have now? I mean, Mario's been around since the 80s, and
Yeah.
Goku's been around since the 80s as well. Did
Yeah.
you think they'd be as big and as popular for all three of you as they are now?
There's it's hard to predict that. It's weird because Dragon Ball was my first audition, and so I got lucky when I got the role of the lead character, but I didn't realize, he was the lead character until a couple of weeks into recording. 'Cause I was very Goku-like and naive about that, and
And I also didn't tell him.
he also didn't tell me, which is funny. And I also, it's weird because when I got on the show, my brain was like, it's going to be like everybody else in show business. There's going to be, it's going to go on forever, and there's going to be, and not realizing that it was extraordinarily rare for any anime to take off, especially in 1999 when I started, or 2000. Or beyond, right? And so half my brain was like, of course. And then now that I know what I know now, it's a complete fluke and total luck. And the genius of a character Yama storytelling, certainly. I mean, the guy really knows how to draw a character right, and he knows how to tell a story that's compelling for decades. So I did not predict that, though. I did not expect it. Although yet it seems totally natural that it's happened. So that's the only way I can answer it,
Same thing with Mr. Mario yourself?
I had never heard of Mario. I had never heard of Nintendo when I crashed the audition. So when they said, make up a voice and make up a video game, start talking, and when you run out of things to say, I just happened to have played Gremio and Tammy the Shrew. Nice Italian guy. Talk like this. So when they said action, I said, hello, I'm a Mario. Let's make a pizza pie together. And I just started going, and I didn't stop until he said, stop talking. Cut, there's no more tape. Thank you, we'll be in touch. And I thought that was the end of this character that I had never seen or heard of. And that was 31 years ago. So I had no idea.
Yeah, it blows my mind that it's still around today. I always joke that Dragon Ball is just like any Dragon Ball villain. Like you think it's gone, and then when the smoke clears, it's still standing there, kind of heavy breathing, little battle damage, but stronger now. And so it's just, I cannot believe. Like I think all three of us were very fortunate in that we landed one of the coolest roles we could possibly get very early in our careers.
Yeah.
And that's a weird thing to reconcile in your brain. Like nothing else we auditioned for is going to be as notable as these shows that we've been working on for 30 years. So
yeah.
It blows my mind that it's still happening, and I am still very grateful that I have anything to do with it.
Oh yeah, it's the best thing that's ever happened to me. So.
Grateful every single day, and that's what we wish for everybody. You do something you love to do, and to hear the appreciation is just it touches your soul.
It does. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great question.
Thank you.
I have a question for Christopher.
Yes.
Do you have a favorite Yona of the Dawn character?
Hawk, obviously. Yes. That show is such a beautiful show, and I hope they do continue it.
Same.
And I will say that I always play the honey scene for people who have never seen that show before, because it's like the weirdest scene. Do you remember when her hand is injured and that's a weird scene.
Yep.
Yeah. Never mind, guys. This is a joke just between us, so you're not part of it. Yona of the Dawn, I would recommend it though. Like I love Hawk, I love the princess. Like
is Yona is like in the morning?
Yeah, it's a special power. He sleeps. Thank you though for a great question.
Thank you.
That's so sweet.
Hi. Congrats on the Dragon Ball Super. Charles, you're one of my inspirations. I've been playing Mario since I was 6.
Thank you.
And my question is for all of y'all. How did it feel for the new movie to focus on Piccolo and Gohan rather than Goku and Vegeta?
I know Sean loved that.
I mean, I love playing Goku, but the break was nice. And it was, and you know what? It allowed me, look, a lot of people talk to me and approach me talking about Dragon Ball like I'm a fan. And I am, but I'm not. And as an actor, it's hard for me to be a fan when I'm in something because it gives me a different mindset that I think negatively affects my performance. And so I try to be, so people want to geek out with me about spoilers. And I'm like, no, I'm in my own mind space, leave me alone. I'm a fan, but I have to not be a fan while I'm being Goku. So for the movie, it allowed me to kind of be a fan because I was able to just kick back and eat the popcorn and watch Gohan and Piccolo do their thing. And I have been a big Piccolo fan since the beginning. When I moved to New York, Chris gave me an autographed Piccolo action figure that I have to this day in 2001. So I've been a big Piccolo fan for a long time. So when this all came out, I was like, yes, it's about time. Piccolo's gonna do some cool stuff. And he's got Orange Piccolo, whatever that means, and he's got a little bit extra. And I was like, yes. And then Gohan has like 2 new forms, it looks like. Spoilers for the 5 people who haven't seen it. The second one I call Super Saiyan 2.5 because his hair is like halfway to Super Saiyan 3, although I think it's technically more powerful than Super Saiyan 3 or 4.
I believe the technical word they would like us to call it is Beast Gohan.
It's Beast Gohan. I thought there was like a Final Gohan, a Beast Gohan, and Blanco Gohan. I saw that going around the web. I was like, what was Blanco Gohan?
That was a meme long time ago.
Oh, it was? Okay. Yeah. Blanco Gohan. So yeah, for me, watching it, it was, first of all, I recorded Broly in 2 days. I recorded this in an hour. So that was a lot easier. And then I got to watch all my castmates, do all the heavy lifting, which was a really nice psychological and physical respite for me. So I really enjoyed just kind of being on the sidelines and watching my castmates just really just kill it. They just such a great job. And so I'm so proud of this cast for that reason. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Y'all did really great, and Luigi is my favorite Mario character.
Thank you very much.
Great.
Yes, sir.
So
Good.
this is a question specifically for Christopher.
Perfect.
As both a voice actor and a director. So there's something that's been pointed out along a lot of voice actors that come to cons, like when they audition for something, they aren't shown the character that they are performing for, you know what I mean?
Sometimes.
So it's like, you as a director probably will have known about this because you got to keep it on a down low. Why is that? Why is it that most voice actors, when they audition, they don't know who they're doing?
Well, a lot of the times when we come in and we don't even audition for it, where we're up at the studio and they're like, hey, come in and do this role, you don't know what it's going to be.
That's
you walk
exactly
into
what
the
I
room and they're like, okay, you're a talking frog today. I'm like, all right, here we go.
Yeah.
So there is a lot of that impulsivity that happens when you're up at the studio and somebody, because Funimation now has 20 studios all in this long, giant, 12, 13 studios in this long row. And then when you're walking around, sometimes someone will go like, hey, can I borrow you for a minute? And so sometimes you'll get cast on something when they don't have time to audition for it. And you just kind of have to pick it up and go.
Is that kind of the norm nowadays? Because there have been a few well, I don't want to call out names, but a lot of dubbing nowadays don't really put in a lot of effort. You know what I mean?
We as people who work in the industry, and especially me and my friend Michael Nicholas, who's probably one of the best dubbing directors, period, we complain about this all the time. And there is a constant battle between executives at big companies who want to buy up a bunch of anime, and I'm referring to don't really care what studio goes to and don't care about the quality. They just want to crank it out and get it done. And I actually quit a show over that once. I get really frustrated. And that's unheard of that you quit a show, but I did it because I was like, you guys don't care about this. I don't want to name the show, but even though they threatened me with NDA stuff, but whatever. So yeah, it's a problem because even when we work on this movie, even Zach said, on no other dub have I seen anybody put this much care into it. And that's how we roll on Dragon Ball. And that's the way Chris rolls as a director. It's the way Michael Nicholas rolls. But there's a lot of other studios that just want to get it done and they think you guys don't notice. And I think, and it's offensive to the art and offensive to the work. And I really wish that they would put in the time and care and the proper pay for the people who are doing what we do.
Yeah.
Because it's a real serious art form to us. And Chris knows me. I've taken this as like serious as a heart attack since day one. And Chris was kind enough. He doesn't have to do this, but he was kind enough to kind of let me kind of see the production process on the movie and asked for my opinion on stuff.
Sean actually had a very profound insight on the movie, something that I was really struggling with. I don't want to call it out, but there was a character. I'm joking. There was a character that I'd recorded, and it was a complicated character, and it was actually, I can tell you, it was Dr. Hedo. He was a confusing character to me because he needed to be kind of sinister, because the first scene you see him blow somebody up in a prison, which probably injured or killed people. You find out that he like unearths bodies and turns them into zombies, and he's got this like sinister look and these like crazy dark circles under his eyes. But at the same time, he's kind enough not to want to kidnap a girl or like a little kid, and he's got to be likable enough for the audience. And so I had recorded it, and as you know, the movie starts with a lot of dialogue. And when Sean came in, I'm like, I'm struggling trying to figure out if this is the right voice for this character. And Sean had an excellent point, and I ended up getting Zach back in to kind of re-record some of these lines to make him different than we had originally recorded.
Well, I want to illustrate a bigger point here, and this is what I appreciate you doing, is like, my whole, people will, like when I have complained about wanting to have Japanese scripts in the booth, and people say, well, that's not your place, you're not the director, and that's generally true. But as an artist and as an actor, especially when you do it long enough and you get past your own ego, eventually you start just fighting for the show. You're not really worried about, I wasn't trying to exert my influence or opinion on Chris, and as a younger actor, it might have come across that way, or if I just started. But I'm an ADR director myself, so I've had enough experience to be in art space long enough to where you start transcending, hopefully, enough of your own ego to go, well, what's the big picture here? Well, how do I make the show better? So if I'm bothered by a translation, or I don't want Goku to say a certain thing, it's because I'm fighting for the purity of the show and the purity of the message that Akira Toriyama is. And so when we did Z, and back in the day when the scripts were very Americanized and not quite true to the manga, by the time we did Kai, I was like, okay, this time I'm not doing it that way. And I asked my producer, is it okay if I have Japanese scripts so I can really make sure the meaning of this character is consistent with what I believe is the transcendent nature of what Goku is? And he allowed that. And I think the bigger message here is that if you're a young voice actor, you're an artist, when it's appropriate, you're fighting. You want to make the show great so it has more emotional power, so it inspires all of you who tell us, I lost weight, I got over a death, I was made straight A's. That all has to do with the emotional impact of our performances individually, collectively, and how much we're fighting for the show so that the power of the show is realized, which is the whole point of art. And so that's why I get frustrated with big companies doing the thing I said earlier, where they're just trying to crank it out and not really care.
And not even try,
Oh, I've heard shows that I don't even think sound mixed. I'm like, they didn't even put an EQ on that mic. It's all muddy sounding. And it blows my mind. And they think that you guys don't notice. And the only thing you can do is vote with your wallet, but voice your concerns and buy the anime that affects you emotionally. And they'll respond to those numbers. They'll respond to money. Yeah. They're not going to respond to you going, I felt the performance was not great, and they're not going to respond because they don't think you know. But you do. You're the consumer. You're the guys watching this. So that's why there's a long answer to your
No, that's a
thing,
very good answer.
I was trying to explain the nuts and bolts of this whole world that we're dealing with. And I'm a little bit of a controversial figure in that regard. I will open my mouth when other actors won't, when I don't like something, because I'm always thinking, how is this going to be greater? And I want the guy to argue with me, because then you make diamonds,
You can't make 5-star content if you don't put in an effort.
Yes, yeah. And I'm always challenging everyone above me to put in more effort than me, which makes people upset, but we make great shows. So, that's how I am, And it does, it hurts my career, but I'm like, I'm an artist first, and that's what I care about.
Can I just add to that?
Do it, whatever you want, Charles.
I think that's the answer of why is there longevity. The absolute passion and the insistence on the best you can do.
Yeah.
And when the more people that affects inside the company, the longer something can last. And it's that integrity that Dragon Ball has, Nintendo has, that just keeps it going.
And it's rewatchable over and over.
Yes.
When you have a great performance, you can watch the superhero 5 times in a row because the performances are so good. It's always great to enjoy again. And they don't think, they think, just get it done, make the money and go. And I'm like, what about something that's rewatchable every year?
Yeah.
And
the minute you compromise that as an artist, as a company, you start losing it and you can't regain it. I think.
I mean, I get terrified. What I get terrified professionally of is, when robot. And anytime there's a big corporate change, I'm always thinking, okay, who are the new that are going to screw up everything that we're working for because the left, right? And when I mean that, they're not. But what I mean is like, and I used to think of them as bad guys. They're just corporate people serving their corporate thinking and agenda, and they don't always think about the artist. Luckily, team and Justin Cook especially are artists, and they do care about this. And I was really surprised to hear when took over that the key players, dealing with how we make these decisions really were concerned and did really care. And I think that's why that's another reason why the movie's so good. Or at least our dub is what I mean. The movie's great on its own, but I mean our dub is so good. Is because of all these other players that luckily, because I called Justin, I'm like, oh my God, are these people gonna tell me how to beat Goku different or make me say, Kamehameha instead of Kamehameha or whatever. They're going to screw it up. And luckily they were like, no, you guys go do what you do best. And they gave us the reins like they should. And we're pleased to say, I think we delivered. And the numbers are speaking for themselves. So thank you all for watching it so much. Thank you. Because I know people watched it multiple times.
9 more times this month per person should help a lot.
All right. Thanks for that, guys.
Thank you. Great question.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much to Sean, to Chris, to Charles.
Thank you very much. Thank you to you guys.